Hi, we're going to be looking at section 1.5 today, solving inequalities. So we're going to look at solving inequalities with addition and subtraction, with multiplication and division, solving when we have multiple step or multi-step inequalities, and writing and solving an inequality. So first, let's solve these pretty basic ones that really just need to use, we'll end up only having to add or subtract, which is kind of nice. So if we do that, we have 5w plus 3 is greater than, that means, so that's an inequality, it's not equal, it's greater than 4w plus 9. Okay, so we subtract by 4w minus 4w. We subtract by 3. Okay, so those 4w's cancel, those 3's cancel. This side we're left with w is greater than 9 minus 3 is 6. Okay, so you go ahead and give the next one a shot. Hit pause and see what you're in. Oh, sorry, just kidding. Let me graph the solution first. I graph it. This is a number line. Just draw a couple of numbers. I'm going to start with 6 in the middle here. 6. So this would be 5. And 4, we have 7 and 8. Okay, you have to use an open circle when it says w is greater than 6, and greater than means we go to the right. So greater than, we'd shade this to the right here. I'm going to shade that in and draw an arrow, and that would be my graph on a number line for the inequality. W is greater than 6, so that represents all solutions. All numbers that are greater than 6 are graphed there then. Okay, now you try. Hit pause. Okay, so I've got 5x minus 3 is greater than 4x plus 2, so I subtract 4x, I add 3, and I add 3. My 4x's cancel, my 3's cancel. This gives me x is greater than 2 plus 3 is 5. Draw your number line. So here's 5, that's 6, that's 7, 4, 3. Again, it's an open circle because it says greater than. It doesn't say equal to, it says greater than. And then we want to go greater, so that would be to the right. Because 6 is greater than 5, and 7 is greater than 5, and all the numbers to the right are greater than 5. So there's our solution on a number line. A little bit harder now. We've got to solve using some multiplication or division. Okay, so solve each inequality and then graph the solution. So here's the deal. We'll try this just without doing anything, and we're going to test it and see what happens. So normally with an equation, we just divide both sides by -4, divide by -4. So we would treat it like an equal sign, just like we did before. But let's see what happens. We check this, and if we leave this alone, and we check our answer, let's see, -4 divided by, or -24 divided by 4 is 6. So this would say x is greater than or equal to 6. Okay, so let's test that. If we chose a point that's greater than 6 and plugged it in, let's see if it actually works. So if we plug in -4 times, let's say just 10, because that's an easy number. -4 times 10 is -40. That is not greater than -24. That is less than -24. So what happens when you're multiplying or dividing with inequalities is you have to flip that sign. Okay? So if we change that sign to be a less than or equal to 6. If I try a simple number less than 6, a very simple number would be 0. -4 times 0, is 0 greater than or equal to -24? Yes, it is. So that will make the statement true. So inequalities are not too bad. You treat them just like equal signs, except if you multiply or divide by a negative number, then you have to flip the sign. Okay? So remember that in this next example. Go ahead and hit pause and solve that inequality. Oh, and I need to graph the solution again, sorry. So let's graph that one. This one, there's my number line. Put a 6 in the middle. That's 7. That's 8. that's 5, that's 4. This one says less than or equal to, but it says equal to. So I'm going to put a filled in dot because it's equal to, so it's not an open circle anymore, and less than would be to the left. So I'm going to just darken that line to show which way it goes and put a dark arrow here too. Okay, that is x is less than or equal to 6 on a graph. Okay, now you try. Hit pause. Alright, hopefully you divided both sides by negative 9.2. Divide this by negative 9.2. Okay, we just divided by a negative, so we have to flip the sign, so now it would be y is greater than, okay, if you divide those two, you get negative 2.5. Okay, so to graph that on a number line, I now need to go by 0.5s will be the easiest way. So I'm going to put that negative 2.5 in the middle. Okay, that would mean this is a negative 2, this is a negative 1.5, this is a negative 3, this is a negative 3.5. Okay, this one will be an open circle at 2.5, negative 2.5, and then we're going to draw it to the right because it says greater than. Okay, get your arrows darker just so you can be really obvious on which way you're going here. Okay. Next and final is to solve a multi-step inequality. Okay, so if we were trying to do this first one, the first thing I'd want to get rid of is that divided by 5. So to get rid of division, I multiply both sides by 5. So I'd multiply this by 5 over 1. Those would cancel, leaving you over 1. And multiply this side by 5. So 5 times negative 3. I did not multiply or divide by a negative, so the sign does not flip. So I have negative 15x. So I leave the sign alone. It's less than or equal to negative 4x plus 22. Okay, now I add 4x to both sides, so plus 4x. So I'm at a negative 11x is equal to, not equal to, less than or equal to 22. And now I divide by negative 11, divide by negative 11. I just divided by a negative, so I need to flip the sign to be x is greater than or equal to. 22 divided by negative 11 is negative 2. And then to graph that solution, I have negative 2, negative 1, 0, negative 3, negative 4. Okay, so I fill in the circle because it's greater than or equal to, and then greater than is to the right side. Okay, go ahead and hit pause. You try this next one. Alright, a couple different ways you could do this. I would distribute these to the negative 6 and the 2 first. Okay, so we're going to do this using the old-fashioned method where we just do negative 6 times negative 4v is 24v, and negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. That's less than or equal to 2 times 10v is 20v. 2 times 3 is 6. So that's instead of using the generic rectangles. If you love the generic rectangles and you've struggled, if you've ever struggled with distribution, stick with the generic rectangles. You tend to not forget to multiply everything in the parentheses. But usually if we have a monomial, that's one number times a binomial, two numbers, usually you can use this method without making a mistake. Alright, let's combine our like terms. So I do minus 20v, minus 20v. To move that 18 over, I need to do plus 18, plus 18. So those cancel, 24 minus 20 is 4v. Is less than or equal to 24. Okay, divide by 4, divide by 4. So I didn't multiply or divide by a negative number, so I can keep the sign the same. 24 divided by 4 is 6. So I draw my number line, I put 6 in the middle. That means this is 7, 8, 5, and 4. So less than or equal to, I have a filled in circle, less than is to the left. I shade it that way. is my inequality answer. Okay, that does it for this section. Please bring in any questions. Thanks.